intersectionalism, postmodern thought. We'll go with that. I can pronounce that.
That works.
But they've created this problem, and I think with this Alex Jones thing, it's going to blow up in their face.
Yeah, it probably will.
Because it's when you start shutting people off. Here's an admission. I sit at night and I watch YouTube. It's kind of entertaining. There's a lot of people on there I like to watch, and it's easy to find them. I mean, everything from this guy called This Tony, which is hilarious, I think, to Jordan Peterson and a few others. And what a lot of YouTube channels are trying to do, because I watch the opposite side too. I don't just stick to people I agree with. In fact, one of the reasons why I started listening to y'all's show is because some of the things y'all said I disagreed with, but the more I listen to you, I'm like, well, yeah, okay, yeah. Yeah, I think you're right. But they've created themselves a problem because when they shut off Alex Jones and kick him, and there was collusion. You can't say there wasn't collusion to take this man off But I've watched him, and this guy, this Alex Jones fellow, is insane. He's kind of insane. And with just enough rightness to make his insanity kind of a problem for most people anyway. But by kicking him off, they created two problems. One, some people are going to go find him because he's going to be found other places, be it books or something. You can find the guy still.
Yeah.
I think he still has a radio program, does he not?
They actually pulled the plug on his flagship station.
Oh, well, still little stations are out there. But
he's not going to go away, and if anything, this is going to strengthen his listenership because people are going to go, whoa, what happened? Why did they ban him?
Well, the flagship station, was that like a pirate station that they were talking about?
Anyway.
Yeah. And the other problem that they've created is the behemoth of the federal government. Because, and I'm absolutely on board with you, don't go rush into the government to fix the problem. But they created a problem because the Internet was created with taxpayer money. It was built with taxpayer money. When you pay for your Internet connection and your cell phone connection, which has Internet, you're paying tax in order to bring Internet to people who can't afford it. So just like with the interstate commerce and, hot dogs, if you know that story, forcing a men's club to accept a woman back in the 70s, now you've got this problem where Facebook is on a medium, on a platform that was created by taxpayer money. So the federal government can't be involved because I know it doesn't get a lot of press, but there's the First Amendment says you can't use federal dollars, taxpayer money, to shut down free speech.
Right.
So they've created a problem for themselves with that. And it's going to be interesting how this plays out because they're not going to stop with Alex Jones. It really started with the gun channels on YouTube that a lot of us enjoyed. They were fun to watch.
Yep.
That's where it started, and Alex Jones is just the latest. I don't know if you want to call it victim, but Alex Jones is just the latest victim of the purge, so to speak. And basically what the statists and Marxists are trying to do is take over the Internet, because they actually, I don't know if you remember this, but in the early early part of the internet, the early stages of it in 95, 96, 97, I remember reading this article, this paper written by this professor, and he was lamenting the destructive nature of the internet because there were so many libertarian voices on it. And you'd have to do some digging, but I guarantee you could find that. This is not something I'm making up. This is something I remember happening in the late 90s. And then Facebook came along, and YouTube. YouTube originally was just, I think, 30-second clips, because that's really all you could, stomach to download over a modem.
Right, and then as it grew, it went to like 15-minute sectional clips, and then it kind of went to, you can put it long as anything up as you want.
Yeah, I've actually watched movies on it.
Yeah.
Movies I couldn't find anywhere else, I found on YouTube, believe it or not.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting how this plays out. And like I said, just like with postmodernism created this, it created this huge problem that the liberals are trying to deal with now. They're actually just trying to cover it up. But you've got this situation with, this is censorship is what it is. And you're absolutely positively right. Any company, any newspaper, they absolutely have the right to print whatever they want to print in their newspaper. But when you look at the physics, the physical makeup of the internet, and plus on top of that, the internet has become the public square. And just like the public square was built with taxpayer money, so was the internet.
Well, and the internet itself isn't really yet being completely regulated, but there are some things, obviously, but it's, Facebook is a quote-unquote private company, and Twitter is a private company, and so, if they want to pull something, good for them. If anything, I know it may not, to them, think it probably won't hurt them at all, but I know they've lost people. You read things about people, I'm shutting down my Facebook account, or I'm shutting down my Twitter account, or my...
Well,
I can't even remember what the other ones are.
But, okay, a way to look at it is interstate highways. You're driving up and down an interstate highway, and because of what you've said, they can't pull you off that highway. They can't say, oh, you can't use this highway because we don't agree, because you're a racist, bigot, and homophobe. So you can't use the highway. Well, they can't do that. In fact, they can't prevent you from using the highway even if you're a drunk driver, unless due process.
Right, but we're not, you don't have a private company intersecting in between the, well, I guess they do in some places. Some toll bridges are kind of like that, and if you don't pay them a toll, you don't get to cross.
Well, the destinations you end up at, let's say you're going down the highway, you're going to a Costco or something, and they've revoked your membership. The federal government doesn't say, well, Costco lives off our road, so they have to let you in their store.
Right.
Well, and I see the analogy may not be perfect, but you can still drive to Costco. Even though you can't go into the store, you can still drive there.
Well, and you can still go to Facebook and YouTube even if they have closed your account. You can still go there and view videos. You just can't host anymore.
Right. But again, like I'm saying, their company, their business would not exist on the internet, which is, it's not a physical place.
Right, I know what you're saying. Do they have the right, basically what you're saying is, do they have the right to censor on the internet, even though they're a quasi-private corporation or whatever, because public monies are the reason that platform is available in the first place.
And the thing of it is, this is why me personally, I talk to people who are talking about, well, we've got all these jihadists on this, that, and the other platform, and we need to kick them off. And I'm like, that's a slippery slope. Don't go down that road.
Right. I mean, Target Liberty, which is a website I love to read several times daily. Recently, the owner of the website decided to shut off all comments because he was sick of them. Well, that's censorship. Not much different than Facebook or Twitter or anything like that. It's a different form, but he was censoring. He said, I don't want this anymore. He brought it back, but then he said, from now on, you have to put your name on here. And I am going to decide whether or not, instead of just putting up everything someone sends me, from now on, I'm going to censor what I publish as a comment on my website. So, and he's a libertarian anarchist. So, we don't want government intervention because the sword cuts both ways.
Exactly, and I'm just as a clarification, I'm absolutely fine with Facebook and YouTube doing what they did. It's quote unquote their company, whatever. I don't care. Facebook's pretty much history anyway. Zuckerberg's about to get Zuckerberged, so the whole Facebook thing is going to change here pretty soon anyway. And with YouTube doing what they're doing, they're just cutting their throat because the only problem I see with it really is the internet is going to end up being these sectioned off communities. Whereas if you want this content or that content, you're going to have to go to this website. But I will guarantee you the websites where you want to get the free content, the free expression of ideas, won't be, they won't say, okay, we don't agree with you, you can't have your stuff on our channel, in large part. And so the YouTube and the Facebooks who are censoring, they're just going to lose power. They're going to lose viewership. They're going to lose money, and basically liberals are going to put themselves in another enclave instead of that enclave being the University of Fairbanks or whatever, University of Alaska or Berkeley or whatever. It's going to be YouTube and Facebook. Yeah. That's my opinion. I could be wrong.
Well, I think a lot of this stuff is just testing the waters. I mean, they tested the waters with some folks from the Ron Paul Institute on Twitter. They pulled them, then they put them back on. It's just, whatever.
Well, I'm going to continue listening to you with my earbuds and mow grass, and y'all have a good day.
All right. Don't cut off a foot. Be safe. Thanks. I think we got another call. You guys want to make a closing comment on that call before I take the next one?
No.
Okay.
Good.
You good, Dave?
Yeah, I think so. That was a superb call.
Yeah. All right, cool. Hello, caller. Thanks for calling in.
Hey, this is Billy.
Hi, Billy.
I'm having a hard time following you today. I'm listening really careful, but I cannot understand how you make a distinction between the corporations and the government. In other words, a private person who has a web page has the right to you call it censoring. I wouldn't call it censoring, but he has the right to choose to publish what he wants. He can't publish everything. But the idea that Facebook is a private company, I don't understand what you mean by a private company. I don't think there is such a thing anymore. Corporations are government beings. Like a corporation legally is an individual person. That person, which is the corporation, doesn't have a physical body, but you have to use your imagination. But that person is much bigger than any individual human. But that person is a member of the government. They tell the government what to do. The government tells them what to do. They're in bed with each other. They're all just government.
Well, and that's why we mentioned that government interference should be, instead of asking for more, to force Facebook to do this or that. The government should get out of Facebook altogether. Or they should get out of Twitter altogether. They shouldn't be.
The government never should have allowed corporations to exist. It isn't a matter that the government can get out of the corporations. The government created the corporations so that they could rule the people. Like you said, that's what fascism does. Look at the dumpsters in town here. They couldn't close them to the trash pickers through the government because we could go down there and keep them up till 3 o'clock in the morning shouting at them. So they gave it to this corporation, who now is much more oppressive than the borough is even trying to be. They're real jerks. And we can't stop them because we don't have any way to go to their board meeting and scream at them. That's what fascism does, but I'm just saying that that's why corporations exist. To tell the government, we want the government to get out of the corporations, they're just going to laugh you in the face. They created the corporation so that they can rule you without you being able to yell back. And the only answer is to stop feeding them. But people won't do that. There's not enough true freedom lovers, is what I call them. I don't talk about conservatives and liberals. They're all the same thing to me. But freedom lovers, there's not enough freedom lovers who will drop out of the system, even to whatever degree they're capable of dropping out. They won't even try, most of them. They're firmly entrenched in the system. So I just don't understand how anybody can talk about fixing the system. The system is firmly entrenched, always has been. Even before corporations, there was kings giving mandates to some businesses and not others. If a business gets bigger than an individual, if you do not work for yourself, then you are building a civilization that will oppress you. And there isn't any real answer to that except exiting the system as far as you can. And I speak as one, of course, that, yeah, I'm 50 years behind the technology. I'm still using a track phone. And that's just the way it is, man. You cannot agree to be a part of Babylon and then try to save Babylon. The Bible never says to save Babylon. It never says to try to work from within the system of Babylon. All it says is flee Babylon. It doesn't even say to preach to it. Just flee Babylon. And look for those individual people who still have a love of freedom and a love for the truth. But they are rare.
Well, how do you find those people that are interested in freedom if you're not?
You have to be able to objectively measure things. That's why I objectively measure tyranny by how much of the gross national product does a nation take away from its people. And if you do that, then you'll see that we're under a tyranny. Individually, a freedom lover will try not to feel